Hey Divi Nation, welcome to Design School for WordPress Beginners. In this video, I'll show you the power of custom CSS in Divi Builder. Okay, open any page post or custom post type by clicking on Divi Visual Builder and you get this usual Divi Visual Builder workflow screen. Head over to any row, column, section or module, click on it and click on the settings icon. Head over to advanced and under this you find something called CSS ID and classes and custom CSS. These are the two things that are the most powerful features in Divi Builder. I'll tell you what this is in a bit when I explain you the use cases for this. Let's focus on custom CSS. You don't have to worry about before and after. They're basically called pseudo elements. You don't have to understand any of that. Basically, they'll help you insert anything before the main element and after the main element. All you need to do is to focus on the main element. What I really like about Divi is that when you click on a row, it also gives you the option to add CSS for the columns within that. So when you click on a row, you can also add CSS to the column 1 element. And when you click on a section, you can add CSS to that particular section, the rows inside it and also the columns inside it. So that's really good and that's really cool. So click on anything that you want and head over to advanced and you find a field called custom CSS. This is where you add your custom CSS. So I clicked on the row. So my main element will be the whole row itself, and don't panic about any of the code that you see on this channel because everything will be available to you in the description down below or in the first comment. So you can simply copy and paste that code and simply change the values. That's how we do it on Design School for WordPress Beginners. So don't panic. So I clicked on this row and my main element will be the row itself. So I can type some properties and I don't even have to type the whole property. You can simply press on tab after typing few letters and it will autofill that particular property for me. So this is a neat little feature in Divi. So I said background color and I need to give it a value. Of course, these are all values that are available within your content and design tabs, but I'm teaching you how to do it with CSS. There are other things that you can't do with the content and design tab, and you need CSS for that. So these are the basics that you can change with CSS. So I typed background color and I said blue. So the whole row's background color is turned into blue. I can also say orange. So, and Divi also gives me a neat little color wheel that I can pick. I can simply change the color just like that. That's really awesome. That's a feature that we don't find it on Elementor. You need to type your values manually. So that's great. We've added a background color. Now let's add a border. So the first one is the width of the border, the type of the border, and finally the color of the border. And just like that, you can see the border of this row is turned into a blue dotted one with 5 pixels in width. You can click on that row again, go to advanced and a custom CSS. If you delete this property, that will be gone. And if you delete this one, that will be gone. Just like that. If you don't like anything, you can delete everything, or before you click on this done button, you can also click on this so that all the changes that you make in this custom CSS tab will be undone. So that's how or you can simply delete all the code in the main element. So it will erase all the properties related to that. So let me add another background color and I press on tab. It autofills for me. I'll give it a wheat color. So that looks great. And there are so many properties that you can add to each and every element in Divi Builder. And most of these CSS properties are generic, meaning you can apply this to any row, section, column, or even module. So you can apply a background color, border, or anything, and as a matter of fact 90% of the properties to anything that you see in Divi Builder, because these are built on CSS standard. What's really cool in Divi is that when you click on advanced, you can add custom CSS to just that particular element. So let's say this is a blurb. You can simply add custom CSS to blurb image. So let me add a border. I'll press on tab again. It autofills for me. 5 pixels, dotted, and maybe red. So just like that, added border around this particular image just by using custom CSS. So you can style individual elements simply by heading over to custom CSS and typing the CSS under that particular element. So let me remove this. So here the main element stands for the entire blurb. So it includes this image, this text, and also this particular heading. In Divi, you can also just style the content. So you can say color of the content and red. So that by color I mean text color. So whichever element has text in it, the text of that particular element will be changed to the color that you specify. And make sure you add this property wherever there is text. So if there's any text module, you can add this color. You can also add the same property here. Let me copy and paste that here, the blurb title. Just like that, the title turned red. And if you want to change the color, again, pick the color wheel, select any element. Just like that, you can drag. You can notice the color, notice the title color over here. And if you're okay with that, you can press on this. You can undo everything just by clicking on that particular X. So it will undo everything that you make in that particular session. Let me go to advanced. Now let me remove the border around this. So that's the blurb image, right? So let me remove the border. Just like that, image around this is the border around this is gone. Okay, now let me add background to just the blurb title. So okay, it's basically autofilling back face visibility for some reason. I'll say red. You can see the background color is turned to red. Let me change the border radius so that it becomes a bit rounded. You can see the corners are rounded just like that, just by adding this property. And when I remove this property, you can see the pointed corners. Just like that, you can make the corners rounded by adding a simple property. And some of the properties take more than one values. I'll explain what those properties are. Don't worry, you don't have to worry much. Just experiment it and you will see the results live using the visual builder. So you don't have to worry about where to add which property. Wherever there's a color, make sure you add a color, and wherever there's a value in pixels, make sure you add a value, maybe a simple number. That's all you need to know. And let me tell you where CSS becomes really handy and really powerful. You can add box shadow to the whole blurb, but you can't add box shadow to one particular element. But using custom CSS, you can do that. So let me add box shadow just to the title. If you want to do it with the text or anything, we may need to go to design and just pick the box shadow under this. But that applies box shadow to the whole blurb, but not a particular element. So I'll go to advanced. As you can see, it applies box shadow just to the particular title, not the whole element. So because I typed that property into advanced CSS under blurb title, I can also give it a depth, so 5 pixels. You can see that neat little effect. Also specify a color for that box shadow. And just like that, you can style individual elements that are usually not possible with. So you can add this to anything. You can add it to the image. You can also add it to the text. You can add it to the main element. Of course, it's added to the main element. So basically, you can add most of the properties to each and any element that you see on Divi Builder. This is the power of CSS. Now let me show you a few basic CSS properties, and after that I'll show you how you can build your own widgets using the Divi Builder and Custom CSS. It's really powerful, but before that let me show you a few other text properties. Of course, you can change entire text properties in here. You can go in and maybe pick a font from here and all that stuff. You can also do the same with Custom CSS. So you can click on this blurb, go to Custom CSS, go to the content area, and increase the size of the text by specifying a property called font size. So just like that, this whole text size is increased to 40 pixels. Maybe 40 is too big, so let me reduce it to 14. Is too small, so let me 34 is also too big. See how the font varies with various options that I give here. You can also change the font family. Times, I type Times and the font of this particular content is changed to Times New Roman. So that's how it's changed. Of course, you can change the color of the text. So the color is changed. You can also add a text shadow, which is similar to box shadow, but it's applied to text. So the overlapping text that you see is called the text shadow itself. So when you add 3 values and give it a color, this is the kind of effect that you get using just the CSS. So these are just the basics that you can do with CSS. Now let's jump on and see what exactly we can do with CSS and using all these cool little features. By default, when you want to add a gradient background to any section, column, row or module, you're limited to only 2 colors, right? So you can only pick 2 colors from here. So one here and the type of gradient. Well, with CSS, you can actually add multicolored gradient backgrounds to any module or any row, column or section. So here's how you add multicolored gradient background. So you can add as many colors as you want to your background. So the first thing that you need to type, don't worry, everything will be in the description. I'm just typing so that I can show you, is background image. And the next thing is linear gradient. You can always press tab while typing something. So Divi Builder will sometimes get it right and Divi Builder may not get it right sometimes. I type linear gradient and within these brackets specify the colors that you want. So I want red color and blue color. Let me add another one to the mix. So red, blue and green, or maybe add a pink in here. You can see how that looks. Maybe you can see how that gradient looks. So this particular gradient is made up of 3 colors. Red at the bottom, red at the beginning, pink at the middle, and it slowly transitions to yellow in the bottom. So you can add as many colors as you want to this particular property. And by default, the gradient starts from the top and it goes over to the bottom and you can change that simply by saying to right, and it starts from the left. You can see the red color here and the pink color over here and the yellow color over here. So you can specify the direction in which the gradient should be applied to that particular background. So you can say to right, you can also say to left. So it will start from the right. You can see the red color here, pink here, yellow here, and you can also say to bottom left. So that will start from the top right and apply the gradient diagonally, just like that. You can also say to bottom right or to top left, top right, whatever you want. Mix and match the directions and you can see how the gradient is applied to your particular background. And instead of saying to top right or anything, you can simply specify an angle at which the gradient should be applied. So you can simply say a number followed by DEG, which stands for degrees, the amount by which the gradient should be rotated. So if this is the axis, it will be applied at 135 degrees, and you can see that you can play with, you can also give a negative value. So the gradient will be applied in the opposite direction. Maybe say minus 35 and see how that looks. Play with all the values here and you can see how the gradient will apply. Let me show you something cool. So as I told you, browser will automatically display this thing. So there is no load on your server. All the CSS code is handled by your browser rather than your server. So you're putting literally zero load on your server, and this is really great for UI and UX. So it will not affect your page loading speed. So let me add a rainbow colored background. So it's WebGR. And specify the direction to right, because I think that will look better. So you can see how that gradient background looks. So it starts with violet and finishes with red. So I added almost 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, I think 8 colors, sorry, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 colors. So I basically added 7 colored gradient background to this particular row. And this is not limited to any row. You can add it to any column, you can add it to any section, you can even add it to any module in Divi Builder. How cool is that? Also, by using custom CSS, you can rotate, you can scale, and you can position elements at a custom position, which is usually not possible with the drag and drop interface. Let me show you. So let's say you want to rotate this image. And remember, these properties can also be applied to basically anything that you see in Divi Builder. So whatever element you see, it can be a section, column, row, and the drill goes on. Any module, you can simply rotate it, scale it, do it. It's not Divi thing. It's basically a CSS thing, and these are called 2D transforms. So I pick this particular blurb image and I want to rotate it. So the code for that is transform. So I'm sorry, there was a spelling mistake, and yeah, so the browser just rotated this particular image by 35 degrees, and when I give some other angle, just like that, your image is rotated. You can also specify a negative angle, so it will be rotated in the anti-clockwise direction. And this is a standard syntax, and you may need to add some prefixes for different browsers. This should work on most standard browsers, and for Mozilla the prefix will be Moz. So if you're on a Mozilla browser, you may want to add that. In addition to transform, you need to add, copy paste this and say Moz transform. Don't worry, everything will be in the description, so make sure to check that out. And now I want to transform this particular title. I want to rotate it by the same angle. As I said, these properties can be applied to any element, so I'll just copy and paste this, and you can see how the text is rotated. Maybe 35 degrees, and you can see how the text is rotated. Now let's rotate the content. by so the content, so the whole thing is rotated by using custom CSS. So you can add any angle and that will be rotated. So that's how you rotate things using custom CSS. In addition to rotating stuff, you can also scale. So let me click on the blurb again, and this time I'll maybe scale the title a bit so that it looks different and the syntax is the same. And scale takes two values. One is along the horizontal direction and another one is vertical, and they're simple numbers. So it's scaled, so it becomes, so it's stretched by one time along horizontal and two times along vertical direction. And always make sure you give the same values to both horizontal and vertical direction so that it's uniformly scaled. So you can say 2.5 here and 2.5 in order to avoid skewing. And just like that, this title is scaled to 2.5 times its own size. And you can apply this to the image or basically any element. So you can see how that image is scaled. You can see the difference between this image and this image because we have applied transform to this particular image. Why do you want to apply scale? Well, this will save your resolution. So even if your image is of a shorter resolution, you can stretch the image using the scale method, and you can basically reduce the load on your server. So you can use this scale method for that. So if you want to position your image at a custom location, so let's say you want this image here just above the text, you can't do that using the visual interface, and this is where CSS comes in handy. So you can use the basic transform that I taught you. So head over to the thing that you want to transform and type transform first, and then there's a method called translate. So you can even translate takes two values, one along horizontal direction and the other one along vertical direction. So you can see how this image is transformed from its original position. As I change the values, the position of the image changes. So you can position it wherever you want. Just adjust these values and you can position it wherever you want in the entire browser. So isn't that cool? So this method is called translate. So it will help you put your elements at a custom location. So you can tweak these values so that the image appears right over the title. That's your homework. I'm not going to do that. And there's a lot more that you can do with CSS that I can't just show in a single video. So let me finish this basics video with the last example. So you can even skew elements using CSS. It's the same skew that you may have known from Photoshop or other Adobe tools. So click on advanced and go to, okay, I want to actually skew this particular image. So I'll just click on the settings, go to advanced and a custom CSS. I'll head over to the image and the method is transform. Even skew takes two values in degrees. So you can say skew this along x-axis and skew this by this angle along y-axis. So you can see how that image is skewed. So you can change the values and see how that image is skewed. Basically it puts in a little perspective into your image. So just like that, your image is transformed, and this is not possible normally. There's no such thing that allows you to do this. So you can put in this simple line of code, and this value is along horizontal direction and this value is along vertical direction. Of course, you can give negative values for this. So that's how your image is positioned and skewed. So there's a lot more that you can do with CSS, And on this channel, we'll also build our own widgets using CSS, so you don't even need any other plugin except the Divi builder itself. So we've been doing this with Elementor for quite some time. Starting from today, whatever I do with Elementor will be remastered and taught for Divi builder as well. So no matter which tool or page builder you have, you can still do amazing things and create amazing websites for your clients or for your business.
And that's it for now, and hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure to give a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and let me know what you guys think in the comments down below.
And if you need anything else, don't hesitate to ask. I'm ready to help you. Catch you in the next video. Peace.